Hey everyone, Chris here on VarsityGaming, and welcome to another patch notes video. I asked in yesterday's Solo Smurf if you guys would want to see this, and a lot of you said yes. A couple of you did say how most people already see the patch notes and have already known about all these changes, but I know there's still quite a few outliers out there who have not read on anything, so this video is for you. This is the mid-season reinforcements for Operation Parabellum. Now, a lot of people before were saying how mid-season reinforcements were going to be completely taken out. They weren't going to be a thing anymore. That's not true. They are going to still have these balancing patches, but they're just not going to have any big changes. For example, in I think it was Red Crow mid-season reinforcements, they had the Glaz buff for his thermal scope. They're not going to do stuff like that anymore. Not huge changes. Now they're just going to have small stuff like this, where they balance and kind of destroy operators. But let's get into it. I won't read everything, but basic summary is that they are putting a lot of their thoughts and details into this patch notes. This is the designer notes. They have more details on why they're making certain changes, and I'm going to comment on those. And they also have these fancy graphs. So I'm not going to delve too far into them because I'm going to reference them a lot when I'm looking through the changes, but you can see quite a few outliers here already for attackers. Finka with a very high win delta. Ash with just overpicked and too strong. Twitch's overpicked but not too strong. Dokkaebi, Lion, Blitz, all the cancer operators fairly too strong. And then here in the pick rates down below, we got a couple operators that just aren't doing too well. And then we got Sledge, literally the epitome of perfection. Perfect win delta, perfect pick rate. It's just he's perfect in every way. And then we go down to defenders. We have the operators who are overpicked but too weak, and that's like Cav and Rook. And then we have a lot more operators getting into the more central area, which is nice. We have like 5 right here. I think before Smoke and Mirror were both way overpicked, and now they've been brought more in line. We still have the heavy roamers and Legion who are just kind of borderline being OP. And then we got the main useless operators down here, to be expected. So let's get into the actual changes happening. Here are the first 3, which are the big ones in this season. First up, Finka. So there was a lot of outrage on the subreddit because they put a very broken down and not at all accurate patch note description on the subreddit, and then here they actually described it in more detail and made it make more sense. So they will be reducing Finka's boost ability duration from 20 seconds to 10 seconds. She'll lose her stun grenades and get frag grenades instead. The damage she receives from Smoke's gas canister is going down. Currently, if someone is Finka boosted and they get hit by a Smoke gas canister, they take 30 damage per tick, which is 2 times the normal, which is normally 15 per tick. Now she's going to have a 1.5 times multiplier, so that means each person will be taking 22.5 damage per tick from a gas canister. And the last change is that her aim down sights modifier from being boosted is reduced from 50 to 25%. So to summarize what the designer notes say themselves, basically Finka's in a bad position. If we go back to the graph, you can see she has a win delta of 6.5%. That's fucking massive. She has such a high win rate, but she's also underpicked. Not many people like to play her. So she's in a weird position where they're trying to make her picked more, but also make her weaker. So it's a very weird position to be in, and they're not entirely sure how to do it. They're trying to make her more likable with having stuff like frag grenades and also less damage from gas canisters. But then they're trying to nerf her because now her ability only has 10 seconds instead of 20, making it harder to time, and then you don't get as many benefits. I think the changes they're trying to make are probably for the better. Finka is way too overpowered right now. She's just not really picked because, well, she's not fun to play. The only time I ever play her is when I Finka shotgun rush, and that's it. In an actual round, she's really not that fun of an operator. She's good, not fun. And also her ability is way too hard to understand for anyone who doesn't look super in-depth into the game. She has like 8 benefits and 3 disadvantages, where those are listed literally nowhere on any of the websites or on her page. They don't say anything about what all of her abilities do. So it's very hard to understand her if you don't actually look into it. So now that they're actually releasing more information about it, maybe her pick rate will go up and her overpoweredness will go down. I really like the ability getting reduced down to 10 seconds because right now at 20 seconds it's way too fucking long. The fact that you can basically boost yourself for a full minute of a round non-stop is too powerful. So overall, I like these changes. I'm not a huge fan of the frag grenades, but I understand why they're trying to make her picked more. Because if they just reduced all these things and didn't give her frags, her pick rate would go down and her win rate would go down. But then she'd be super underpicked. Alright, moving on to the next operator, we have IQ. This one has received the most flack from the entire community about her change. She is losing frag grenades and getting a claymore instead, and she's getting another nerf where the electronic scanner on her wrist is getting a reduced range from 20 meters to 15 meters. The reasoning of the developing team is pretty sound. IQ is too good in terms of fragging power and utility. She can scan for electronics, break them with her frag grenades, and then frag out with her gun. Just kill everyone. And it makes sense. She is very strong because of that. But she kind of needs it because since she can't ping gadgets on her wrist scanner and just has to rely on pure vocal communication, sometimes she needs to destroy them by herself. I don't know how many of you have ever tried to communicate where an electronic is using your scanner and trying to get someone to throw a frag grenade to it. It is very difficult. It's incredibly hard to try to tell them exactly where to throw it. Whereas if you have the scanner and you know where it is, you can throw a frag grenade yourself and easily destroy the gadget. But anyways, that's it for IQ. I kind of understand what they're talking about. Frags are going to really suck to not have anymore. Moving on to Blackbeard, this was the third one of the top 3 that are receiving changes, and a lot of people are hit or miss on this. So, Blackbeard's assault rifle, the MK17, is getting an increase in damage from 42 to 49. And then his DMR is receiving a reduction in damage from 72 to 61. That is going to make it probably one of the weakest DMRs in the entire game. Almost every other DMR has a higher value. I'm not entirely sure what Dokebee's is, but I'm pretty sure Buck and Twitch both have around 70. So that's going to make Blackbeard an incredibly weak DMR player. So a lot of people will probably hop back onto his assault rifle, but his assault rifle has a lot of recoil. So I can kind of get what they're going for there. They don't want Blackbeard to just be, okay, choose the DMR because it has 0 recoil and very powerful. Now they're going to make it, okay, you can choose the assault rifle, but you'll have high recoil, or you can choose the DMR, but you'll have less damage. And then other changes, they're also reducing the rifle shield health from 60 HP to 50, and they're also going to make him slightly faster when he has his shield on. I don't know what the exact number is right now. I think right now he receives a 50% reduction in movement speed. Now it's going to be 30%, so he'll be significantly faster. And as you can see, even in the design notes here, they say basically what I said, where they're trying to make the choice between the two guns more difficult. A lot of operators have the issue where one gun in their kit is just the best and the rest are all shit. Now they're trying to balance them out so both guns can be viable options. Right now, really the only people I know that run the Blackbeard assault rifle are like Rob and Drew. Everyone else runs the DMR. Because having a 72 damage rifle, super important. Alright, so those are the top 3. Now we're going to move on to the other small changes. This one was a pretty noticeable one for me, but really not that many people cared about it in the patch notes that I saw, like on the forums. Glaz, reducing his sniper rifle from 85 to 71. Another nerf to his sniper rifle, just less and less damage each time. It's now going to be, I think, weaker than some of the other DMRs. Because I believe, I can't remember exactly, I'm not going to look it up, but Twitch or Buck have around this number, around 72 for their damage. So Glaz might even be weaker than some of the other attackers. But he has a thermal scope and smokes to combo with it. So he doesn't necessarily need a lot of power when he can shoot you and you can't shoot him. So I can kind of get behind this. And the main reason they're making this change is because of Pro League. When the whole point of Pro League is smoke, plant, watch, Glaz makes that very unfun when they can smoke, plant, and you cannot peek, otherwise you'll just get your head taken right off. Next one is a Twitch nerf, one that I kind of understand, but I'm still bitter about since I'm now a Twitch main. Twitch's FAMAS damage is being reduced from 40 to 37. A very small change, but it can add up. The reason I'm not a huge fan is because this will actually have a bigger impact than people imagine. So at close range, this would do 120 in 3 shots, this would do 111 in 3 shots. Both enough to down someone. However, let's say go 20 meters away. I don't know what the exact numbers are because I don't know, but let's say at 20 meters away, the damage goes down by 6 on each side. So this would be 34, this would be 31. With 34, 3 shots would still do enough damage to down someone. That'd be 102 damage per shot, or per 3 shots. Now with 3 shots at 31 damage per shot, that's only 93. You'll have to make another shot in order to down them or kill them. So they're trying to do the same thing as what they did with Ashe before, where they reduced her R4C damage by I think it was 1 or 2. So it was just enough that sometimes you have to land that extra shot just to down someone, but on paper it doesn't look that severe. And if you look at the designer notes, they basically just say that they understand Twitch is very fun to play and she's pretty balanced, they're just trying to make her less picked. Because if you look at the graph, her win delta is not too high, but her pick rate's way too high, so they're trying to bring that more in line with the rest of the operators. Moving on to Jackal, this is a pretty big buff that, again, not many people are talking about. Jackal can now scan footsteps from up to 8 meters away instead of 5 meters. That means if you're opening up the floor, he could just look up and scan your footprints through the floor easily. Before you had to get on top of a desk and get pretty close, now he can just look up and scan your feet. Granted, if they're already opening up the floor, that probably won't change much, but it will be a pretty good situation for your attacking team if, say, Buck's opening up the floor. You see footsteps as Jackal, and you mark them, and then you know exactly where they're hiding in the room. And then as Buck keeps opening up the floor, the defender's going to run because they're getting marked and the floor is being opened. You get a free kill. So I think this will help him with attacking people on site as opposed to roamers. In roamer situations, I could see it being more beneficial. I've had a lot of times where I'm trying to push up to a door and I see footprints, and then I'm trying to scan them, but I have to basically walk into the hallway to actually scan them. Now with this small 3-meter boost, I'll be able to scan them without having to put myself at too much risk. However, that was the one big disadvantage with Jackal, is that when you're scanning footprints, you put yourself at a risk. So they're kind of taking away all of his risk and giving him just more reward. Moving on, we have Frost. Very small changes here. SMG damage increased from 43 to 45, and then increased Super 90 damage from 32 to 35. I don't think that'll change anything. Frost is a fun operator in the terms of her gadget. It's funny to just put down Frost Trap somewhere and be like, oh my god, I caught someone, and then run to go kill them. Her SMG has such a low fire rate that adding 2 damage to it means almost nothing. I think it has the lowest fire rate in any gun in the entire game, and sometimes I swear it's slower than a DMR. Her Super 90, semi-autos are weak enough as it is. Adding 3 damage I don't think will really change anything. Because right now she's one of the least picked and least powerful operators. So I'm going to have to do a lot more to actually fix her, but this is a small step in the right direction. Dokkaebi, losing her Claymore, being replaced with stun grenades. I'm okay with this change because it makes more sense with her gadget. If you call someone, you know where they are, you want to stun them out and then push in to kill them. I think it'll combo a lot more with her ability and make her more of a selfish operator instead of a team operator, because right now you really only call for Dokkaebi when the team tells you to. Now, if you know where someone is, you can call them, flash them, push them, and frag out on your own. So it makes her more viable on her own. And now she's not going to be someone who just puts on a Claymore and then waits for the team to tell them what to do. And then what they mentioned in the designer notes is also true. Dokkaebi is a lot stronger now because she can get access to the Maestro cameras, which are bulletproof, so not even the defenders will be able to destroy them. So they'll probably have to make some more changes to her, but I like this because it makes her more of a selfish operator instead of solely a team operator. And it'll hopefully mean that the enemy team, whenever I'm facing them, are selfish, dumb, and they don't use Dokkaebi in full cancer mode. And then that's it for all of the current operator changes. They're only making one change to a secondary gadget, which is barbed wire. Now it'll slow you just a tiny bit more. Right now it's 45%, it'll be changed to 50%. They're making no other changes, it's still only 2 hits to destroy, but it'll slow down the attackers just a tiny bit more. Okay, the next section, current status. This is where the developers are talking about the current operators and what they think they need to do to change them. So the first 2 operators are obviously Alibi and Maestro, the 2 brand new operators in Parabellum. As they say in the dev notes, it's too early to really tell because, the operators are brand new. They're either going to be super underused or super overused, super powerful or super weak. But they basically, from their data, have concluded that Alibi is too strong in ranked play, but she's super underpicked in Pro League. I can fully understand that. She has a really good gun, which makes her a really good fragger if you're a good shot in ranked. But in Pro League, where people drone out like crazy and know exactly where you're placing all your prismas, she's going to be completely useless. There's no point in running her. All you'd ever run her for is the gun, but in Pro League, you're not doing that. And then Maestro, they say they're super happy with him in both ranked and professional play, but they see that he might be a bit too powerful for Pro League, but they're going to wait and find out. Because like I said, this DLC has been out for, a month and a half now? It's kind of too early to tell exactly where an operator is too powerful. And maybe it's just because people haven't adapted to it yet. Something like that. Moving on. Talking about Ashe, Twitch, Jaeger, and Bandit. They're saying that all four of these operators have very high pick rates, which they do. They're in almost every single game, every single round. But they claim they're not broken in terms of power. I would disagree. At least they admit that Ashe might be a bit too strong, but they say it's not too crazy. I personally don't think so. Ashe is an incredibly high fragger. I generally find that the win delta goes down for Ashe because of the selfish Ashe mains who just run in, try to frag out, and then die. But if you're an actually good Ashe on a team that's coordinating, she is probably the most deadly operator in the game. Same goes with Twitch, Jaeger, and Bandit. Jaeger and Bandit are amazing roamers. Twitch is amazing for support and also fragging out with the FAMAS, which I think is still the most powerful AR in the entire game. So they're going to keep monitoring them and maybe try to lower their pick rates a bit. I'm interested to see what they'll do. One big thing I could see is maybe reducing the rate of fire on Bandit and Ashe and Twitch, bringing down the gun just a bit. And then for Jaeger, I'm not entirely sure what they would do to make him less picked. The fact that he's the only operator in the entire game that can counter grenades makes him a very desirable pick on where almost every objective site you're going to have grenades, especially smoke grenades. Next we have Frost and Capcan, where they say that they notice that Frost and Capcan move up and down the win delta together because they're both trappers, and they're not entirely sure why they've all of a sudden just gone way down in win delta. I can tell you right now, probably from every single person being on the lookout for electronics. Now that almost every defender that's coming out has some form of electronic gadget, people are always looking for these traps, these gadgets everywhere. I know Frost isn't electronic, but they're still going to be on the lookout for that. My guess is just people are getting way more cautious and traps aren't working. I know the few times that I run Frost or Capcan, people are looking for other stuff. They're looking for Jaeger ADSs, barbed wire, or alibis, and they just see those traps at the same time. They're like, oh, okay, I can easily just take this out. And it doesn't help that both of them have, in my opinion, fairly weak guns. Capcan's 9x19, I think it's called, is fairly strong, and it's a laser, but there's other better guns out there like Jaeger and Bandit. And then Frost just has a super weak SMG. I mean, it's strong per shot, but the fire rate is so low that you might as well run any other SMG on defense. So until they buff their guns a lot more, and then I don't know if they can really buff their traps because it's just the fact that more people are having more gadgets, people are on the lookout for everything. I feel like those obvious traps that just stick out are going to fall off the grid. Like, you want Legion, who has invisible traps that people can't see unless they have something like IQ. But Frost and Capcan, you can just see super easily. It sticks out like a sore thumb. But anyways, moving on to the last operator, Castle. So they want to make drastic changes to Castle because they think he's not a super viable operator. He's a low pick rate and a low win rate. And it's in the back of their log. They're not going to be too concerned. But I think the only reason why Castle has such a low pick rate and low win rate is when people choose Castle without coordinating with their team. The very few times that my team runs Castle, we have an exact strategy planned out and know exactly what we want to do. And then all the other times I see Castle fail is when people choose it because they're like, oh, I don't know who else to choose. I'm just going to choose Castle. I think he is a very viable operator in his current state. The only thing I'd say that might need to be changed is the fact that so many different things now can destroy his barricades. Maybe make it more resistant, maybe add one more, but I don't think he needs anything drastic like they're saying. Like, the fact that they're saying they're going to look to make huge changes to him worries me that they're going to completely ruin his unique ability. I think he's fine for the time being. But anyways, that is it for the entire patch notes. Pretty big changes, I'd say, overall in the balancing scene. A lot of the times for these mid-seasons, they don't really change too much. They like maybe reduce some damage, reduce some recoil, add a gadget or two, but that's about it. This time they're rehauling a lot of operators and really trying to balance them across this axis. Overall, I'm fairly happy. When the patch notes first came out, I was super upset saying so many things were broken, that they were making so many mistakes, but after reviewing what they say and also thinking about it in a normal sense, I think the changes for the most part are fine. The only ones that I'm not entirely set on are Finka. I think she's still overpowered. I just think that her pick rate is low just because she's not fun to play. So I think she'll probably get picked more and also maybe be more powerful now. The one big change I'd like to see taken away from Finca is the reduction in recoil and also removing the 20 health. Those two don't need to exist. But everything else, though, I think I'm fine for the most part. IQ, a lot of people with their just gut reaction saying that IQ is not going to be useless. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's just going to take some getting used to. I think she'll be fine. Everything else, though, I'm fine with. But anyways, that is it for the mid-season reinforcements. I think they are slated to be released on the 24th. They haven't said anything here, but they did talk about in the last banning update that they were going to be pushing out the ban wave on the same day as their new patch, which I believe they said the 24th. So it should be out in about a week. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.